The Dalai Lama's childhood. As a young child, the Dalai Lama was identified as the reincarnation of the previous Dalai Lama and was trained from a young age to fulfill his spiritual duties. He explains, "I understood that I was something special and had been born for a purpose. It was to become a spiritual leader of my people." The Dalai Lama describes his mother as his first teacher, who instilled in him a strong sense of compassion and empathy. He says, "I learned about love and compassion from her. She was always kind, always gentle, always patient." The Dalai Lama explains that even in the midst of political upheaval and conflict, he was able to find a sense of inner peace through his Buddhist practice. He says, "I learned very early on the importance of mental peace, of developing a peaceful mind. The greater the level of inner peace, the greater the level of happiness." The Dalai Lama emphasizes the importance of seeing challenges and difficulties as opportunities for growth and learning. He says, "Difficulties provide the opportunity to exercise and strengthen one's determination and inner strength. It is because of these difficulties that I am able to develop a calm mind and a positive attitude." The meeting of two worlds. There are differences and similarities between Western and Eastern perspectives on happiness. The Western culture tends to emphasize materialism, achievement, and individualism, while Eastern culture values spirituality, community, and interconnectedness. The Dalai Lama states, "If one's life is simple, contentment has to come." Simplicity is extremely important for happiness. This quote highlights the Eastern perspective that happiness comes from within and can be found through a simple and contented way of life. In contrast, the Western perspective tends to seek happiness through external achievements and material possessions. The Dalai Lama explains that everything is interconnected and interdependent, and that understanding this can lead to a deeper sense of compassion and happiness. He states, "The more we care for the happiness of others, the greater our own sense of well-being becomes." This quote reflects the Eastern perspective that happiness is found through compassion and caring for others. The Buddhist science of the mind. Mindfulness is the idea of being fully present in the moment. The Dalai Lama explains that mindfulness can help us gain control over our thoughts and emotions, which can lead to greater peace of mind and ultimately greater happiness. Another key example is the Buddhist concept of non-attachment. The Dalai Lama explains that by not becoming overly attached to material possessions, we can avoid the suffering that comes with their loss. This can help us develop greater inner strength and resilience. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. Training the mind through meditation. Train the mind through meditation as a means of achieving inner peace and happiness. The mind can be trained just like a muscle, and meditation is a way of strengthening it. The Dalai Lama discusses the practice of analytical meditation, which involves contemplating a particular topic or question in order to gain deeper understanding and insight. He explains that this type of meditation can be helpful for resolving conflicts, making decisions, and developing empathy. It is important to understand that the mind can be trained and transformed through meditation. The practice of mindfulness allows us to see the world more clearly and to appreciate the richness of everyday experience. Dealing with anger and emotion. Negative emotions are harmful to both the individual and society, and they arise due to a lack of understanding and control of one's own mind. One key example the Dalai Lama gives is the practice of analytical meditation, where one reflects on the causes and effects of one's emotions in order to develop a deeper understanding of their nature. He also emphasizes the importance of cultivating positive emotions, such as compassion and patience, through practices such as loving-kindness meditation. Anger and negative emotions are generally related to an inability to face things as they are. Develop a more realistic and objective view of the world in order to overcome negative emotions. The nature of suffering. Suffering is a fundamental part of human existence, and that it arises from our attachment to the idea of a separate self. The key to reducing suffering is to develop a greater sense of compassion and empathy for others. The 8 worldly concerns are 4 pairs of opposing values: pleasure and pain, gain and loss, praise and blame, and fame and obscurity. Our attachment to these concerns can lead to suffering, and we should strive to cultivate a more balanced and detached perspective on them. Another key quote from this chapter is, "As long as we are human, we will experience suffering. We can't escape it. But suffering can be transformed into something positive, the growth and development of the human spirit through the cultivation of compassion, wisdom, and a deeper understanding of the nature of reality." Buddhism and the human condition. According to Buddhism, the human condition is characterized by dissatisfaction, or dukkha, which arises from the constant striving for happiness and the frustration that results when we do not achieve it. This dissatisfaction is rooted in our attachment to the self, which is a concept that is illusory in nature. Karma states that our actions have consequences and we are responsible for creating our own happiness and suffering. It is important to take responsibility for our own lives and the need to cultivate positive qualities like compassion, wisdom, and generosity. We have a responsibility to take care of ourselves. The ultimate responsibility for our happiness lies within us. The ultimate source of happiness is not money and power, but warm-heartedness. Some scientists have found evidence that suggests that basic human nature is compassionate. This is our natural disposition, but unfortunately, our education and socialization lead us to neglect it. Transforming negative emotions. Negative emotions such as anger, hatred, and jealousy can be transformed into positive emotions such as compassion, love, and kindness. The Dalai Lama used to get angry easily as a child but gradually learned to control his anger through meditation and practice. Negative emotions are often rooted in ignorance and a lack of understanding, and by cultivating wisdom and understanding, one can transform negative emotions into positive ones. The ultimate source of happiness is not external but within ourselves. It is not our circumstances that determine our happiness, but rather the way we react to those circumstances. The power of compassion. If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. The Dalai Lama was once approached by a woman who had been raped and was seeking revenge against her attacker. The Dalai Lama encouraged her to find forgiveness and compassion instead, arguing that holding on to anger and hatred would only cause more suffering. The Dalai Lama explains that compassion is not simply an emotional response, but also requires an intellectual understanding of the nature of suffering and the causes of suffering. The chapter discusses the concept of Tenzin, a meditation practice in which one imagines taking on the suffering of others and giving them happiness and relief. Cultivating joy and happiness. Joy and happiness are not the result of external circumstances or material possessions, but rather are a state of mind that can be developed through mental training. One way to cultivate joy and happiness is through the practice of gratitude and appreciation for the blessings in our lives. Think positively and focus on the good things in life rather than dwelling on the negative. Pay attention to your thoughts and feelings without judgment. The Dalai Lama explores the idea of altruism that, by helping others, can bring a sense of joy and fulfillment to our lives. Health, healing, and a long life. In order to have good health, you must have a balance between your physical body and your emotional and mental state of mind. Cultivating positive emotions such as compassion and love can have a positive impact on our physical health and help us live longer, healthier lives. Meditation can help reduce stress and promote a sense of inner calm and well-being, which can in turn improve physical health. By accepting the reality of death, it can help us live more fully in the present moment and appreciate the time we have. Practical advice for maintaining good health involves getting enough sleep, eating a balanced diet, and engaging in regular exercise. Giving and receiving love. Genuine love is not based on attachment, but on a deep sense of care and concern for others. Extend love and compassion not just to our close family and friends, but to all sentient beings. There are different types of love, including romantic love, familial love, and love for humanity. Forgive and let go of negative emotions, as they can hinder your ability to give and receive love. However, self-love can be a foundation for giving and receiving love from others. The nature of true happiness. While external conditions and circumstances can contribute to happiness, they are not the sole source of it. True happiness can be cultivated through a disciplined mind and a compassionate heart. The ultimate source of happiness is not money and power, but warm-heartedness. Genuine happiness consists in those spiritual qualities of love, compassion, patience, tolerance, forgiveness, contentment, and the like. Discovering a purpose. Discovering one's purpose involves a process of self-reflection and understanding one's own values, strengths, and interests. Individuals should ask themselves what they are passionate about and what they want to contribute to the world. Having a purpose can help individuals overcome obstacles, find happiness, and feel a sense of fulfillment. The key to a happy life is not a particular circumstance or a particular type of people, but rather a particular way of looking at one's life, a particular way of thinking about things. Turning problems into opportunities. It is not the presence of problems that is the issue, but rather our reaction to them. In 1959, the Dalai Lama was exiled from Tibet, which ultimately became an opportunity for him to share Tibetan Buddhism and its teachings with the world. The Dalai Lama was exiled from Tibet in 1959 due to a conflict with China. In 1950, China had invaded Tibet and declared it a part of China, but the Tibetan government continued to operate independently. In 1959, Chinese military forces suppressed an uprising in Lhasa, the Tibetan capital, and the Dalai Lama fled to India to avoid capture. He has since lived in exile in India, working to promote the cause of Tibetan autonomy and human rights. Despite the hardships and challenges he faced during his exile, the Dalai Lama remained committed to his spiritual practice and used his experiences to deepen his understanding of compassion and empathy. Post-traumatic growth refers to the idea that individuals can experience positive changes in personal growth after going through a traumatic event by reframing perspective and focusing on the opportunities for growth and learning. The way we react to adversity can be a major factor in how happy and successful we can be in life. If we approach adversity properly, it can be a source of strength. Indeed, wise people see adversity as an opportunity and not as a setback. Coping with the death of a loved one. Death is a natural part of life and should be accepted rather than feared. It is important to find meaning in loss and use it as an opportunity for personal growth and reflection. In dealing with death, we must recognize the impermanence of all things, including life itself. This recognition can help us to appreciate the time we have with our loved ones and to make the most of our relationships. We can find solace in our faith or spiritual beliefs, and prayer or meditation can be helpful in coping with grief. Community and support during times of grief are vital, and there is value in reaching out to others for help and comfort. Maintain relationships with others, even after a loved one has passed away, and continue to connect with them in meaningful ways. Overcoming anxiety. Anxiety arises from our mental projections and expectations, as well as from our attachment to certain outcomes. Understand the nature of your thoughts and emotions in order to overcome anxiety. We can do this through practices such as meditation, which can help us develop mindfulness and awareness of our mental states. When we are able to view our problems and difficulties from a broader perspective, we are better able to deal with them. The mind of the meditator. Meditation is not just a religious practice, but a way to train the mind and improve mental health. There are various types of meditation. Concentration meditation. This type of meditation involves focusing on a single point, such as the breath or a mantra. The goal is to develop greater concentration and mental stability. Analytical meditation. This type of meditation involves contemplating a particular topic, such as compassion or impermanence. The goal is to gain insight and understanding. Mindfulness meditation. This type of meditation involves being fully present and aware of one's thoughts, feelings, and sensations in the moment. The goal is to develop greater mindfulness and clarity of mind. Visualization meditation. This type of meditation involves visualizing a particular object or scenario, such as a peaceful beach or a healing light. The goal is to cultivate positive emotions and attitudes. Find a meditation practice that works for you. The main purpose of meditation is to calm the mind and make it more focused and concentrated. Ultimately, our mind should become more peaceful, more tranquil, and more focused. Meditation can be used to develop a calm and peaceful state of mind, and also to develop a compassionate and altruistic attitude towards others. The art of happiness is in you. Subscribe to What Illustrated Books for new insights weekly.